Welcome to Tarot Tuesday for the week of July 7th. This is for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising. Take what resonates, and if this reading doesn't speak to you, go check out your other two signs videos for deeper messages. So, Aquarius, we are here in Cancer season. Today, we have Neptune going retrograde in the sign of Aries. It is an outer planet, and we don't feel it as much as we do, say, this Mercury retrograde that we're going to have for basically the rest of Cancer season. And then on the 9th, we have Venus moving into Virgo. It is an earth sign. So Venus is that planet of how you relate to others, and you might just be in this more grounded body knowing of how you're understanding your people, because yeah, with this Mercury retrograde, it's not going to be in direct communication lines. Mercury retrograde is not something to fear. Remember that it's about reflection, reassessment, but it is a time where communication, technology, transportation hiccups are possible. Because yeah, it's going to meet ahead on the 13th where the Sun and Mercury are conjunct, which is generally a beneficial time period. And this is just really a time for you to assess that Cancerian energy of do you listen to that inner body, knowing what are the things you want to just openly share to the world and things that you can keep to yourself. Yeah, things like that. Because the very next day on the 14th, so next time we meet, there will be a new moon in Cancer. And yeah, really just like, how do we want to move forward, knowing what we know about how we want to communicate ourselves out to the world and what are things that we could keep private. Yeah. So let's see what we got going on for Aquarius. And this week I'm using the Enchanted Map Deck as they're my most blunt tool that I have. You have Golden Palace reverse. And so yeah, this, oasis, you can say, this out of reach place is put on a pedestal. And so Aquarius, this is where you want to get out of delulu places. You want to be getting more into the practical of what is it that I am dreaming into being right now? Are these attainable goals, or am I living in the fantasy idea of a goal? Yeah, fellow air sign, I'm not gonna complain because that's where I live 90% of the time. You got details reversed. And so at least when it's reversed, I don't know if you can read it, but you got clarity in there when the details is reversed. It's saying that, again, Aquarius doubling down on Mama Squirrel is on the roof for you. Hi, Mama. Anyways, for clarity, Aquarius, you have to identify, am I living in a fantasy, or is this something that I am tangibly making reality? And so, it's one thing to want to be like, the next Frank Lloyd Wright or like a rock star. These aren't unnecessarily unattainable goals. If you are passionate about music, just do it until you can do it to a place where you are doing whatever you want to do with that, go there. But it's like this fantasy can be, especially like if you have an idea of how you are perceived at the workplace, or maybe even a partner's eyes, like that is a fantasy and it's not the reality of the situation. Yeah, Mama Squirrel is now like climbing to the second story of the building. She's proving her point that is her. But see, she's not living in fantasy. She's allowed to do that. She's doing a great job. Anyways, Aquarius, for you, clarity is in the details. And so with this details card during a Mercury retrograde, it's saying that too, if Aquarius, you're doing something like, say, signing off on a new house or a new car lease, something like that, you want to get in the nitty-gritty of the details, because you don't want to sign something and then realize down the line that you aren't protected in some way. So Aquarius, yeah, just Mercury retrogrades in general, you want to double check that things are good. you want, if you've made vacation plans, you want to make sure that you're actually good and covered for everything. Yeah. Sad embrace. So you're going from this golden palace reverse to this sad embrace, and this is just saying that, yeah, Aquarius, your reality might not be matching the fantasy that you've created, but don't let that deter you. I'll say something that, as like, you know, somebody who will like paint or create things, you know, I can't be so attached to the image in my head of the finished product because it's never going to be 100% the same way that I envisioned it. Like if I'm landscaping somewhere, I can have an idea of how it's going to look all cleaned up. But if I am 100% attached to it being 100% the vision that I had, nothing's going to get done in the way that it should. And then I'm just not gonna, you know, I can't be in that perfectionist mode enough to be like, well, it's not perfect, so it's not, I'm never gonna do it again. Keep going, Aquarius. Like say that music thing, you know, you have to keep going. Like I'm still building my calluses back on my fingers so that I could even play shit. So Aquarius, keep going through. Don't get attached to perfectionism, and you will, yeah, don't be so, you know, like if it was that other example of like, you know, people, places, and things not matching your standards, not living up to the fantasy that you have in your head, then yeah, you are going to mourn the loss of those fantasies, but really embrace the reality of what is in front of you. Commitment, look at that. See, you can commit to things once you let go of the fantasy of the idea of what they were. Like, yeah, like if I want to finish a painting, I commit to the finished product, not the fantasy of what I think it should look like. When I can see people for who they really are, I can commit to them versus like the fantasy that I've created in my head about a person. Yeah, so that's for you, Aquarius. This is what the Enchanted Map deck has for you. Very blunt, as they always are. So to soften that load, let's go to the healing waters and see if they can tie it all together for us. So healing waters oracle, what do we got for Aquarius? Let's see. Let it go. Release the past, forgive, soften, move forward. Yeah. And I'll give you this because I kind of had two cards. And I haven't done this for anybody else, so you're special, Aquarius. So you got to let it go. And then you get the well maidens. Kindness, respect, reverence, compassion. Yeah, so Aquarius, once you let things go, you can really drop into your own kindness and respect. So this is what I hope for you, Aquarius. I do hope that you can respect and be kind enough to yourself to let go of the fantasy of how things are going to go so that you can get back into committing to your dreams in this lifetime. Me and Mama Squirrel wish the best for you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.